Welcome to TML Weekly. You got the coach Jonny Mac and John over here from Coach's Corner with Kara Grace, and we're missing our driver of the bus tonight. Nolan is out of town, so he's not able to join. But we got lots to talk about for sure. Big signing in Leafland this week with William Nylander getting done. Why don't you walk me through what you think of that one, Johnny?
Well, listen, lots, man. This is a very interesting contract, and when I look at it, it really depends. If I look at the way William Nylander has played this year, I have zero problem with Willie making this money. I have no problem at all, and I think truthfully, as the cap goes up, we're talking like 10-12% over the next 3 and change years. This contract is not going to be prohibitive, I don't think, on any level. The only trepidation I have on this kind of deal is 2 years ago, William Nylander had 15, 17.
Lost you there. I lost you there. You froze up.
Oh, I froze up? Okay.
Yeah.
Am I back? We're good?
Yeah, you're good now. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going back. Like 2 years ago, Nylander had 15 or 17 goals, I think, and was getting raked over the coals. 5 years ago, I think he had a 12-goal season. So if this William Nylander that is showed up this year and for the majority of last season, if he's finally figured it out and he's going to be this elite player who can deliver on a regular basis, John, I love the deal. Love it. 100%. Zero complaints from me. I think it's a great deal. Good for him for going out and getting the bag because, he played his way into the money for sure. The only thing, and I will caution everybody on this, and this is, I got a lot of critique, Johnny, for going hard on Samsonov when he was going through a tough time. When you sign this contract, you get everything that comes with it. So, you no longer get to be the king of peripheral hockey. You no longer get to go, and disappear for a week and a half at a time and just say, well, that's Willie being Willie. Those days are done. You signed the contract, you got the money, you accept everything that comes with it. But if he keeps playing the way he is, love the deal, no problems.
Yeah, I think it's a good deal. I think there's a lot of stuff going on. You talk about the rise of the cap here over the next 3 or 4 years. I think we got 2 more years of hockey. I think we have 2 more years of hockey, and then I think we may be in for a long labor situation. So, been having some conversations, and one thing that I'm hearing from multiple places around the league is the when this CBA is done, and I think it's 25-26.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, that's when they can open it up.
They can this year and 2 more, right? Yeah. They're not going to extend it. There's a lot of big things at play here. One of them is the salary cap, and there's a case being made let's get with the times. This is an 80s type of situation. What's out there now is basically a soft cap with royalties and luxury taxes and things like that. So the big players can spend if they want. And I think it needs to go back there. So that's going to be a big one.
More of an NBA style.
Yeah, similar. Yeah. I think so. I think it works better. I think it keeps the big market teams, in it, for lack of a better term. You're not going to be rebuilding, in a New York or Toronto or Chicago or, LA for that matter. you're going to be dealing, you're going to be trying to get the best players. And if it costs you a little bit more to win, and then you're going to see what ownership's made of, right? Then you're going to see if they want to win as bad as we'd like them to win. And then the other one, and this is a big one, is expansion money. So the way the current agreement is written, the players and the Players Association get nothing, zero. They sell a team to somebody in Salt Lake City for $1 billion. That's $1 billion to the NHL and the NHL owners. That's 0%, $0 to the Players Association. So the Players Association and the players have given back, escrow, all kinds of different things that they've conceded over the years to make the league a better place. And let's face it, it's the players, in my opinion, that are the ones that are making the expansion teams worth $1 million.
I mean,
or $1 billion, not 10 million like they were 25 years ago. So we're at a point right now where I think it's going to be there's going to be a line drawn in the sand. So I think a lot of teams you're going to see are going to go into win now mode that are close. So I think you're going to see general managers over the next 18 to 24 months be very aggressive. I think free agency next year will be very interesting. I don't think you're going to see a lot of long-term deals done, just to wait and see. And that's my comment on the Nylander. I think it's very, very well done by Treliving to get this kid locked up at that money, because there may be a lot more money on the table coming out of the potential labor dispute that Willie Nylander could have got.
I mean, so listen, I all very valid points. The only thing that I think I would caution, not that anybody's really interested in what John has to say on this, but if I was in the league, there are certain things that I think we hockey people have to realize is that the demographics in the US do not necessarily support the money at the level that we may think it needs to be at. The reality is everybody wants to compare NHL and NBA. And the reality is they're two different stratospheres. The TV contract alone for the NBA is so astronomical that we can't even conceptualize that money in the NHL. And so, to a great extent, I hear what you're saying, and believe me, I don't disagree that I would love to see that type of soft cap luxury tax, MLB bird rights in the NBA kind of filtered in through the NHL. I think it would be great for the NHL. The only thing is, you got to remember, we have teams, be it in Arizona, who still can't get it right. We have teams in Dallas who are still struggling financially. The Florida's teams can win Stanley Cups and go deep in the playoffs and not sell out their buildings. The NHL is still a gate-driven league. And I think, while they may have aspirations to continue to grow the game, we're not there yet. And you can't quite put that cart before the horse. And there's a lot of teams that in U.S. markets, even in arguably some significant U.S. markets, that are still having trouble coming out of COVID and getting people back to the barn. Look at Buffalo. Buffalo is a great example.
Yeah. Buffalo
is a traditional hockey market. And I was looking at taking Cara to a game last week, and I went on, and you can buy tickets right in the 100 level there, $35
wow.
for me. And because she's a child going with a parent, you can get her ticket for $13.95. It's almost impossible to make money getting that out in the market. So I understand the want. I don't know if the actual economics are there to justify, that. Now, that said, to your second point about ownership and the initiation fee coming in or the buy-in to get into the league. Listen, the owners put up the money. The players are going to be growing their base by virtue of there's another 32 jobs, another 33 jobs that are available. To
you
grow.
there?
Yeah, I'm there. Did you time out or was it me that timed out?
Both of us were. We had
Both of us timed out?
black screens. Yeah. No, I'm with you. And there's a lot of things. And here's another interesting one that I heard that I never thought about, but makes perfect sense. And it's one of the things that they think is going to be a big, and you touched on it when you talked about the Florida and the Tampa teams winning cups. And some of these places in the US that have, tax shelters and, guys can take home more money. There's talk, and it's coming out of the NHLPA offices, of going to almost an inverted pay structure where you're paid your net, whatever that is in the market that you're playing. So if you play in Florida or you play in Toronto, your number is $4 million. You make $4 million US. Okay. Now the taxes that have to come off that $2 million, let's say, would be, $2 more million, right off the $4 million. The team in whatever market it is responsible for those. So they basically come out and say, your net, we're not going to give a team in Florida an advantage to sign a free agent because the guy's going to take home an extra $30,000 a month.
Yeah.
And it is an advantage for sure. And then you've got the guys, in Toronto that,
John, I read today that the Nylander deal at 11.5 effectively comes out to about 9.8, 9.9 a season if he would be playing with no tax in Tampa.
Right.
So it's like, I get it. Now the flip side is, I don't know. Do you want to play in Florida? If you play in
Depends on
Florida,
where you are in your career. It honestly does, right? If you're a good player and you played in a market like Toronto and you're sick of it, you're sick of not being able to take your kid to the movie, right? Yeah. And I got a lot of money on the table from Florida. I may go.
Although to be fair, William Nylander could ride the subway apparently, and nobody knew who he was.
Yeah, that's true. But then the other side of it too is, guys when they've already won, could say, hey, you know what? I like to play golf. I won a cup in, wherever.
And you're bored and whatever. And
yeah, I won a cup in Boston or, Chicago or wherever. And at this point, I'm looking at the lifestyle. I'm going to go down and live on the beach. And
listen, you know what? I think it gets lost a lot of times, especially when it's guys that are talking. A lot of the times too, it's, the brides might not necessarily want to be in a particular spot.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that, you know what? I just put it back to in your own life, in my life. Listen, you might want to do something, but listen, if the other half is in your ear all the time telling you, I don't think this is what we should be doing, sooner or later, you're moving to that other side. Like, it's just going to happen, right?
Do you want to sign in Edmonton, Winnipeg, or Miami, honey? Right?
Yeah, but like I on the first line with Connor McDavid. Yeah, I know you could play with Connor McDavid, but it's 85 in Florida right now.
Yeah, and it's minus 85 in Edmonton.
So like I think there is a certain amount of that I think as sports fans, depending on where you are, you might choose to discount that based on where your fandom is. The individual player, though, is that's a legitimate talking point.
You know what else I heard today, and we'll kind of jump around a little bit, John. I know we got a lot to talk about here before the game, and we're going to get into the California trip here in a second. But I wanted to talk about because we had talked off the air about speaking about the Cutter Gauthier trade for Jamie Drysdale, which I saw that come across last night, and I raised an eyebrow. But then I also heard today that Zegras is in play.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
I don't think
something
they
going
like
on, man.
Yeah.
Because listen, that kid is going to be the real deal. I think he looks great on every level, and again, I'm only going by what I've heard. Is he wanted nothing to do with Philly, absolutely nothing. Would not even engage in.
Yeah, so they tried to meet with him at the World Juniors, and I have a little bit of insight to how it works because last time the World Juniors, right before COVID, so it was the 2020 World Juniors. I was in the Czech Republic in Ostrava, and just at the hotel I was staying at was Kenny Holland and his scouting team from Edmonton, and Billy Guerin from Minnesota and his team, and it was I think it was Chuck Fletcher, but the Philly guys were everybody's at the bar at night, right? They're all yapping and this and that, but they're there to meet their players. They take their, they have some time after the games, and the scouts go in and they talk to the players, and the GM will, do a little photo op and that kind of stuff. He didn't want anything to do with them. So the rumor that came out was that it was an ex-player that he was confiding in that told him not to go to Philly, right? And the ex-player got named in one of those, clickbait sites, and they started to put it on Kevin Hayes of the St. Louis Blues.
Hayes, eh?
Yeah, and anyway, so I haven't dug into it. I've been busy working on some other stuff, but what happened is Hayes is getting death threats from Philadelphia. And
those Philly fans are great.
Well, they're messaging him about his brother, who, as we all know, Jimmy Hayes passed away. I'm glad your brother's dead. Blah 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 blah. So, this is we talked about this a couple of weeks ago on another issue in Chicago. It's people lay off this stuff. These are human beings. These are human beings. My counterpart over here, he gets mad at as anything and gets worked up when things aren't going well. But be a passionate fan. We love that. That's what this is all about. But threatening people's lives and talking about their dead family members and crossing those lines, show some class. It's usually some person that's looking for attention from mommy's basement and typing on the computer when they should be in bed.
It only takes one, Johnny.
I know, and then there's snowball. So anyway, that raised my eyebrow that he wouldn't meet with the team. He's a good player.
He's a great player.
Anaheim will do well. I like Jamie Drysdale a lot, though. I liked him. He was actually he played for Canada in that World Juniors that I just mentioned, and was a real key to that gold medal. And he's a young defenseman. He's only I think he's 21, 2021. He's played a couple of years now in the NHL. He's a puck-moving defenseman. Philly needs that. And going the other way, I think him and Zegras. But if they're trying to move, I don't know what's going on out there. I really don't. It's goofy for sure. Well, and speaking of the World Juniors,
we haven't talked since the World Juniors.
No, I was away. I was.
So listen, the cynical fan in me says we finally get a Leaf who's captain of the team. We get 2 Leaf prospects on the team that are great, and we go out in the first round. Very on brand for us.
It was very,
But no, to be fair, I had this conversation too with a few other people, and I said, you know what? We could have had 5 or 6 guys who are playing in the league right now on that team. So, respectful. Listen, the States, well done. Sweden, well done. And the Czechs played well. Let's not take anything away from the Czechs. They showed up, right? We didn't. It's not like we had our A team out there. And listen, you still got to play the games. I made the point last week. I made it on Saturday when Kara and I did our show. We don't need a government inquest into something's wrong with Hockey Canada. Everything's okay. Everything's fine. Instead of having our young guys playing in this tournament, they're playing in the best league in the world. So
absolutely. And you know what? They could have won this tournament, right? That was a lucky bounce.
But that's hockey. That's hockey.
Right. So my suggestion would be to, as a lesson learned to the kids that were involved, that were obviously devastated, the pressure that's put on these young men from a whole country every single year. We're bound to, lay an egg every now and then. And I don't think they laid an egg. I thought they played well. I thought they had a slow start in the Czech game. And then they got better as they went, and they just took it to them. And then it was 20 shots in the third. And then the puck goes down and takes a goofy. That game goes into overtime. Canada wins. Goes to a shootout. Canada wins. Right? There was, and then you get into the next. Anybody can beat anybody at that point. U.S. was good on paper, but U.S. is good on paper every year. Yep. Right? Canada needed to get by that. Connor Bedard scored an overtime against Slovakia in the quarterfinal last year.
Yeah,
I was there.
No, 100%. Listen, 100%.
Right? So they get an unlucky bounce in the quarterfinal with 11 seconds left the year before. They're out too. There's a fine line. These are all good hockey clubs.
Of course they are.
And Czech Republic had 6 or 7 kids from last year. I think they had the most returning players.
And listen, it is good for hockey.
Yes,
the Czechs are back. It's good for hockey that the Czechs are back. We want a competitive Czech team. We do. Right,
and we want a competitive Russian team too. Hopefully, they can settle what's going on over there, because they're a big part of the World Juniors. Let's face it, right?
Regardless of your political,
I'm not talking. I'm not agreeing with anything, or
no, regardless. Let's put that aside. If you're talking international hockey, and the Russians aren't involved, you're not really talking international hockey.
They're an asterisk.
Yeah. Right? And there has to be, right? Yeah. And I'm not, there's all the reasons why they should not be there. And I get all that and I understand all that. I'm just saying, as a hockey fan, we can't pretend that, they don't count, right?
Yeah.
That's the reality. When I go back, I looked at this team and, especially with the way that goalie played in that third period, in international hockey, the one thing that always stands out to me, and again, I'm not old enough for 72, but I think it was 96.
Are you saying I am? I was 3.
I didn't. I'm not implying anything, Johnny. I'm not implying anything. But I think it was 96 when they did the first World Cup. It was the first one after the Canada Cup. And Mike Richter was playing for the States. And Mike, I have never seen a goalie in my life more in the zone.
Oh, yeah.
Mike Richter was that series. Mike Richter was it. Jesus could have been shooting himself, and Richter would have stopped it.
He was good team. That U.S. team was underrated.
Man, they were but
Chelios and Hatcher and
listen, all good, all great, but it didn't matter because Mike Richter was all world. Yeah. I've never seen a goalie play that good. And so when it comes to international hockey, I just said, you know what? We got Richter 100%, and that happens in one game knockouts. It just does. If in tournaments like the World Juniors where it's one game, anything can happen. Goalie gets hot. It doesn't matter. Right?
You get a bad call. You get bad
calls and power play and the goalie's hot. It doesn't matter. And you know what? Everybody in Canada, please relax. We don't need an inquest. Everything's fine.
Yeah, and they, those poor kids is it's for the most part, unless you're a superstar, it's a 1-year tournament, right? You get to go once, and they've watched the last 2 or 3 or whatever win, and then now they go home without a medal. Like, you're going there as a Canadian hockey player.
You're going to win. It's gold or bust.
Well, you're going to win, but you're 95% of the time you're coming home with something. Yeah. And you're playing in a meaningful semi or something like that, right? You may lose the semi and win the bronze or whatever. But yeah, that's, and for it to end like that, it was just almost like a punch in the gut. It's like, oh my God. And that's the way we all felt as fans and Canadians. How about those poor kids?
Yeah.
Right. That are out
there.
Well,
and you know what, John? It's an unfortunate, unrealistic expectation that we put on them.
Yeah.
but it's also a bit of the gift and the curse,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, for sure. If
The-
you're
the
good, you're
gift
good.
is-
You're going to be the hunted. Everybody wants Canada. Everybody, they're gonna get their best. What did you think of the Americans? There's some controversy about their celebration. What was your thoughts?
Okay, so listen. I'm a big fan of bravado. I'm a big fan of confidence. Love Deion Sanders. I think he's fantastic. I love Floyd Mayweather. Think he's fantastic. What I absolutely hate is showing up the other team.
Yeah.
I hated him scoring the goal and waving to the fans in Sweden.
Well, he was blowing kisses at the players' girlfriends.
Listen, that is Mickey Mouse ticky-tack nonsense stuff. It's the same. I don't know if you saw the football game yesterday with Atlanta and New Orleans.
No.
There's no time left on. There's 30 seconds left in the game. They're up by 25 points. They go into victory formation, and then they run to get a touchdown. Garbage.
Yeah.
Especially in hockey, I'm a huge fan of grapes. And Grapes would always say, you don't run up the score. You don't show up the opponent. You play the game. You win the right way, and you do things properly. I hated it. I think it was classless, but I'm not surprised.
Speaking of grapes, we can shout out to our sponsors here, Bjorn Hockey and Don Cherry's Sports Grill, in a big expansion mode right across the country right now. Thanks to them for making this show possible. I agree. I didn't like it. I think,
Now, the other thing,
sometimes guys like that will get what's coming to them. And then, it's very rare that the Swedes are dropping the gloves and throwing punches, but I felt that they did what we would do. I think,
Yep.
I probably would have been, people were also knocking the Swedes, say, sore losers are trying to fight these guys. Well, it's the way the game went.
And to be fair, John, I will say this, as much as we all like to get on the Americans in hockey, to be fair, they're kids.
Yes.
And you know what? It's an emotional moment. And you know what? Maybe in the moment, he made a bad call. You know what I mean? But at the same point in time, I think we as adults and we as sports fans need to remember they're kids, and the kids are fired up and they're talking to each other, and somebody says something and you don't know, maybe the guys on the ice were chirping each other pretty hard and he just went, you know what, I'm going to fix you guys. And you know what? And it looks terrible. And then it pops off. But I didn't love it. I didn't like it. To be fair though, to Sweden, I love their response. Love the response from Sweden. You're on our home ice. You're going to treat us like that. We got news for you. That this isn't 1977 anymore. We're coming at you. I respected that from Sweden. And
I don't know if I was watching an old clip. I don't think I had the sound on. Did another kid take his medal off? Did you see that, Sweden?
I didn't hear that. I know it's happened in the past. I didn't hear it.
Elias Anderson did a few years ago.
Yeah, and he tossed it. Remember, he tossed it in the crowd.
I think I saw one of them taking it off, and I don't like that.
No, I don't like that either.
You're disrespecting the game at that point.
I don't like that either. Now, just while we're on the Team Sweden stuff, I have to give it a shout out. Have you seen the Boreas Salming series yet?
I watched a little bit of the first one. Yeah.
Okay. I'm telling you, it is. As somebody who loves the Leafs,
how do you get it on that?
All right, so I may have downloaded it.
Oh, okay.
But I think it's in Canada. It's available on Crave, I think.
Yeah, I was able to access the first, but I think it drops 1 a week or something.
Yeah, they're doing 1 a week or whatever. I did it all in one day. Wow. And let me tell you, it is absolutely fantastic. I learned, listen, I'd like to consider myself pretty knowledgeable on Maple Leaf history.
Yeah.
And I learned things about Boreas Salming I had no idea.
John,
I had no idea. When he got cut, in the eye.
Yeah.
He played the next 10 years of his NHL career with 50% vision in one eye.
Yeah, about 108, 160 stitches or something, I think.
But didn't tell anybody. Didn't tell anybody about the vision. Only his wife knew and the trainer. They were the only people that knew because he didn't want anybody coming at him or playing him differently. And I just thought, like, what? Like, never mind. Like, just phenomenal. Like, absolutely.
Legend, man, legend. And, he was, I was a big Bobby Orr guy when I was a kid, but I was always a Leaf guy, and Borja was the guy. I'm not going to get into it, but I was fortunate enough when I ended up overseas to play in like an exhibition training camp scrimmage against him, and he was at the end of his career. I was a kid too, and that was kind of cool. And just
Detroit.
What's that?
Yeah, post Detroit when he was back playing.
He was back in Malmo or Modo, or I forget what they were called.
Yeah.
But it was after his NHL career, early '90s kind of thing. But he was as tough as I haven't seen the whole. I've seen 3/4 of the first episode when he was kind of finding his way, and not to drop any spoilers, but he was just a man. I mean, he was tough. People talk about tough being a fighter. He was tough. He came over here and had to be tough, right? So and it's great. Great that's coming out, and it'll.
If you haven't checked it out, and you're in Canada and you have access to Crave, or a third party site somewhere else, listen. Do yourself a favor, even if you're a casual Leafs fan. I guarantee you'll enjoy it. Watch it with your family. They'll enjoy it. It's a family show. It's a hockey show, but it's a general interest show as well. You'll be glad you watched it if you take the time.
Yeah, for sure. So we're getting close to time here, but we would be remiss if we didn't discuss the California trip. That's not very often. So there's 2 trips I always kind of gauge, and I know that it's been done, but when the Leafs go to Western Canada and sweep Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver, because they're always tough games. Those teams come ready, and then when they go to California, and let's face it, 2 of the 3 teams in California aren't strong this year, so to speak. One is very strong, and they handled them quite easily. I know we've talked in depth about goaltending, okay? And Martin Jones, we've said it all along. He's a veteran. He can win hockey games. He's done it for a long time. He's physically able to do it. He's mentally strong enough to do it. We know that he can do it. But I have always said, and ever since we met last year, if your team plays the right way, it's very easy to play goaltender, that position, on a team that plays the right way, because you just have to be very strong positionally. They're going to let you see the puck, right? The shots are going to be coming from the outside. They're not going to have any traffic in front of the net because the forwards are committing to their assignments, in the D zone. And I feel that, the goaltending issues goaltend. I heard today that Wall's skating.
Right? Well, he was on the night. Yeah, he was on the night.
Yeah, they're gonna have 4 or 5 guys healthy here, and what did they say about the other guy? The guy that came from Matt Murray, he's skating. He may be ready, right? What are you all I'm saying is when you play the right way, and they're starting to figure that out more often than not, right? Still gonna have their lapses. Game like tonight scares me always. Coming back off the road against a crappy team that has no business even coming in here and competing. And these are the ones that Toronto
tends to give away.
Yeah.
So you weren't on last week, but I will tell you, I, for the first time, predicted a clean sweep of all 6 points.
Wow.
In on the West Coast trip.
Nice.
So while I'm I'm not surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised that. And what I'm more pleasantly surprised with than absolutely anything, John, is the way we started the games. We started from the puck drop, these 3 games. And that's been the bane of my existence with this team, of them just deciding, I'm not really ready to go. And then, we get outshot 17-6 in the first period. Second period, we wake up a little bit. And third period, we flip the switch and we might win 3-2. Yeah. So I was really pleased to see the way we've been ready to start games, especially on this trip. I will say, Martin Jones, listen, I think Martin Jones is great. I love Martin Jones. You could make a legitimate case that Martin Jones has arguably saved this season.
Yeah, sure, you could.
You can.
Yeah. I don't disagree, but I still maintain it doesn't matter who's in there. If they play the right way, it matters. You got to have a guy that's still got to be good and, blah, blah, blah. But it's a lot easier to play goaltender for a team. Ask Marty Brodeur.
No, okay. You're not going to ask Marty Brodeur. You're talking about an all-time elite guy. If you look at it, was funny.
Hey, Marty Brodeur was going to be a very good goalie wherever he was.
Yeah,
Marty Brodeur is an elite Hall of Famer because of the system and the people that he played the majority of his career.
No, I'm not refuting that. You can't.
Patrick Waugh.
No. Listen, totally. I will say this though, because Karen made this point on the show over the weekend, and she just said, "You know what, Dad? Everybody says it's not goaltending, but the reality is you can't give up 5 goals a game and expect to win hockey games."
Right.
Samsonov was in net. It wasn't just that they were giving up 5 goals, 4 goals a game. It was how the goals were going in.
Right.
Shots from the blue line, shots from outside the faceoff circle, underneath the glove, not positionally set. So that, and I don't care what anybody says. You've been on the bench many times, John. There is a demoralizing effect that it has on a team when you feel like you're playing well and you feel like you're in the game. And
absolutely.
You get the floater on the bench, and everybody on the bench goes, "Oh, not again." You know what I mean?
Yeah. You change your whole body language and your whole disposition.
And so, listen, what I will say, and it's a little bit confounding, in that it's the exact same defense that we're rolling out all the way along, right? So it's not like we're changing a defensive system. It's not like we're changing a defensive structure. I will say it's been my critique of this coach all the way along, is that we can play this way. We can play defensive, sound, structured hockey when we want to. And then we decide we want to play pond hockey again. And then we open it up and there's no accountability. And that's where the team dips. And that's been my biggest critique of this coach. And I don't want to get into the coach tonight. Because
he doesn't deserve it this week.
No, we're on a good run, so I don't want to get into it now. But I'm just saying, from a game management and a game preparation perspective, I like where we are. We're showing up on time. We're playing responsible defensively. I just want to see this continue. That's it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I don't disagree for sure. One player that I've been a little hard on, that I want to, in my opinion.
Can I guess who it is?
Yeah.
Are you going to say Nick Robertson?
No.
Oh, okay.
Jake McCabe. I've really liked his game of late.
Oh, liked his game. Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought you were going to be critical.
No, I have been hard on him.
Jake McCabe. I'm totally with you on Jake McCabe. Yeah.
I've been hard on him since he came over at the deadline last year. I didn't think he wasn't as advertised. And I talked about that. I remember us talking before 100%. The trade deadline, and I said I like him, but he's
got to show up.
He's not as good as he looks in Chicago. Let's put it that way, right? And that happened, but he's starting. He's winning me over right now. I think he's keeping the game a little bit more simple in his own end, and he's actually contributing. He's getting pucks to the net. I've seen him, pinch down low at the right time using spatial awareness and understanding when you need to go and that's an elite skill, just like skating or shooting or passing. And he's starting to exhibit that. I think, playing with professionals like Mark Giordano and Morgan Riley and guys, veterans that play the game the right way. And
is that confidence in your partner though, John?
What's that?
Is that confidence in your partner?
I think it's just that's part of it.
I think you have to be confident.
It doesn't matter who your partner is if you go at the right time, right? It's understanding when you're going to go, and your partner being aware. Everybody's got to be spatially aware of what's going on, especially the defensemen, right? Because they're if you think about from an on ice perspective, the defensemen are watching the game the whole time, right? The forwards don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, you've got complete view of what's taking place.
Right. So they're seeing things unfold, and as a good defenseman becomes an elite defenseman, they know it's a science. It's like, chances are that puck's going to come backdoor over here. I'm going, and now what you need to watch for if you're watching that left point guy, and he's going to bust into the near post on his side, you'll see the elite players, he just shifts over into the middle.
That's 100%, yeah.
Right? Until somebody comes back for support. And if the support comes back on the left side, he'll stay on his side. And if the support comes back, it could be the right winger that comes back, he'll shift over and play D on the left side. But I'm finding that McCabe I'm seeing him see the ice a lot better. He can skate, he can hit, he's a big guy. He clears the front of the net for the most part. I didn't like his decision making, I think, for the first, last year and then the first 25 this year, but he's been much better.
So now, I'm curious, if you were coaching him, is that video time? Is that preparation in understanding who the opponent is and what their tendencies are?
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, like, if I'm playing Tampa, right, and I understand what their cycle game is, and I understand where we are offensively and what their defensemen, what their tendencies are. If Kucherov's on this side and he's digging low to help and that puck is firing around, I got to be ready on the wall. And I wonder, and I'm interested in your opinion on it, do you think that is coaching and understanding who you're playing, when you're playing, and what the tendencies are? Or is that more instinctual?
It's both. It's both. I mean, I think if you don't have those type of instincts, the basic understanding of where you're not playing in the league, right?
Yeah, you're in the NHL. You've got the instincts. But what I'm saying is it?
Have you ever seen a media guide? Have you ever gone to a game and been given a media guide?
No.
Okay, so a media guide is still old school paper. I think you can probably download them now online. But you go in and it'll be about that thick. 50, 80 pages for a game. And it'll give you every single stat, every, matchups, what tendencies are, blah, blah. That's the media guy. Okay. That's for the media to go in and flip through and make notes and if they're
something to talk about while they're doing the game.
Yeah. You dissect the stats and blah, 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 blah. The scouting, the pro scouts, every team has several pro scouts that are watching NHL teams constantly. So you'll have a pro scout out west that works for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and he'll just tour around between Phoenix, Denver, LA, Seattle, San Jose and Anaheim, and he'll just go to hockey games. And and the GM might give him an assignment and say, or the director of scouting might say, hey, you know what? We need you to watch. Here's your assignments for the next 6 weeks. You're going to be LA heavy because we really want you to watch Jared Anderson-Dolan, a forward that we like. We think he may become available or he's a free agent next summer. And the reports that they're getting on individual players are one thing, but the team stuff. So the guy's also going back to his bosses and saying, okay, they're trapping when they get up 2-1 in the second period at home, right? So all these notes are put together and jumbled in and dissected, and what's important and what's not, and stuff's thrown out. But yeah, the players are well equipped for what's expected on any given night. Well equipped. And if they're not, shame on the organization, because the data is out there. And I know, you can talk about analytics. I'm not even talking about analytics. I'm talking more of
no. This is just straight video stuff, right?
Watching video.
This is understanding who does what when.
Yeah.
When you can expect to see that in a game, and then being prepared for that.
Yeah, and when this guy breaks down, or and you're coaching against the other team's defenseman pinching. Okay, when number 7 pinches, number 9 doesn't usually seem to get over far enough to be in a good support position. So if we get a turnover,
100%.
When we get a turnover, keep the guy on the boards up by the blue line,
because up, and then you should be away to the races, right? 100%. Okay.
So there's a lot of that, and that is coaching, and 100%. That's not the head coach sitting down. He's going through video, but they're he's coordinating it. It would be up to Sheldon Keefe how prepared they are, because he would have all the information at his disposal. And I've heard he has video and regular meetings with the team as well as individual groups. He might bring in the defenseman for a little bit of video on you're playing a dynamic offensive team next game, right? This is what Pittsburgh does on a 3-on-2, a 3-on-1. Watch their tendencies. Sidd'll swing to the right and delay and wait for Gensel to come back. That kind of stuff. So there's
this is a good conversation, because I'm willing to bet most people that are watching have no idea about this stuff. What percentage of so let's say the boys show up to the rink, they do the on ice stuff, right? And let's say it's a 45-minute practice, and you get on the ice, you run through what you want to run through. You come back, you do your workout in the dressing room, you lift some weights, you ride the bike for a little bit. How much of your day is attributed to video work? Approximately.
Who's on the team? I'd say anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes and an hour. I don't think you're going deeper than an hour. There might be some other individual stuff, but if you're working as a team, everybody's in the video room together, 15 minutes probably, half an hour, right? They'll go through a couple clips, boom, you lose them. It's like teaching little kids, right? You keep them in there too long.
No, I'm just trying to compare it. Like, I'm just thinking about it, comparatively to football, right?
Yeah, they watch a lot more video in football.
There is I'm hearing you go 15 minutes, and I'm thinking, boy, the linemen are watching 15 minutes with the video on foot spacing. You know what I mean?
It depends on the situation. It could be a quick 15-minute look at some stuff from the night before. It could be a 45-minute, hey, we're going on the road. We're going to get, we're going to look at our teams coming up and the way we're playing. There's some coaches that don't do a lot of and this is an old school thing, but there's still some of it around. There's coaches that don't believe in a lot of video on the opponent, and they'll just do video on their own. We need to worry about how we play. Don't worry about how they play, because if we play the right way, it doesn't matter how they play, we're going to win, right? So there's different mindsets, and there's also superstitions, right? If you do a 10 or 12-minute video session every day for 2 weeks, and you're 6-0,
5 in a row,
you're 6-0 coming out, bet your bottom dollar the next several video sessions are going to be 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want to overthink it, because it is a game of feel, and it's a game of flow and momentum and highs and lows. So you gotta always take that into consideration. But there's some guys that are a lot more hardcore than others. It varies. I think Keefe would be somewhere in the middle. He's got some old school in him. I really believe, but he's got the the mentality where he gets the value of analytics and some of these things. So yeah, cool. Well, what do you think is going to happen tonight?
So
I still think they're going to pump them.
Listen, I'm riding the hot hand here, and I listen. If we're going to be honest about what San Jose is, San Jose is an AHL hockey team. They are not a good hockey team.
No.
And ironically enough, I was just looking online. Do you know Thomas Hertl is making $10 million a season?
Yeah, he's probably worth it. I think if he was playing on a half, he was putting up numbers before they kind of started to go south. And he's a good leader there. I think the organization absolutely loves him. He's a real good character guy. I think you got to get to
pay for a real good character guy, Johnny.
No, I know. He's more dynamic still, I think, than he's given credit for. He's just on such a bad team. When he had Thornton still playing at a high level, and Marleau and Couture, and when they were rolling a little bit, and they had some good defensemen, he was putting up some numbers.
Listen, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, but all I'm saying is 10 goals or 11 goals this year, and you've got another 6 years at $10 million. That's a big ticket to eat, man. That's a big ticket to eat for San Jose. Now, that said, I like the Leafs tonight. I'm less concerned about what the score is, and I'm more concerned tonight about what the effort level is. That's really what I want to see with this team right now.
I think it's going to be high. I think they were on the road. They're back home, especially the older guys that have kids, getting home, and you're going to have your families there and things like that. It's exciting, right?
Listen, and that's what I said. I'm less concerned about the score tonight, and I want to see the effort level and the compete level stay where it's been for the last week to 10 days. Because this is I said last week, I said this road trip was really going to be indicative for me of what this team is. We were coming off some, I don't know what we were coming off. And we were walking into this series where we had one tough game against LA, 2 games we should win. Historically, the games that we should win, we tended to lay eggs, especially on the West Coast. So this was a real gut check time for me. I'm curious as to why we can play Martin Jones, continuously now, regardless of back-to-backs and things of that nature when Wall and Samsonov were here and it couldn't be done. I'm curious about that rationale and reasoning. I think
it was protecting Hildeby, honestly. If it was anybody else but Hildeby, I think he gets the start. I really do.
But what does that tell you? What does that say to the kid?
Well, I think they want the kid around practice. I think they want the kid at morning skates to see NHL shots and to travel with the team a little bit to understand. He hasn't been in North America very long. He played in the Swedish league. Different.
But do you not, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, John. Do you not think with back-to-back games against San Jose, who's clearly the worst team in the league, if you're going to give this kid a start, one of these 2 games is the game to do it?
They couldn't do that to Jones, though, in the second one. That was the problem. Jones was going back into a place. I get it, and I think they basically gave him the.
But so listen, all I'm saying, and I'm not being critical. All I'm saying is, when we played Nashville this year, and Joseph Wall was on an absolute tear and had a .950 save percentage, and I said it's the longest road trip of the year. Samsonov is struggling, and the coach went out and started Samsonov in that game instead of Wall. Everybody told me I was crazy, and you can't keep playing one goaltender, and you've got to give the second guy a chance, and all of that fun stuff. And the only thing that I struggle with as a fan, and I don't want to hear analytics and all of, back in San Jose, and this is the team and all that. If you're going to say that in November when a goalie's on a heater, that it's justifiable, I have a very tough time hearing in January that it's the exact opposite from the same guy for the same reasons. That's all.
There's a reason. There's a simple reason.
Okay, I'm interested.
His job wasn't on the line in November, and it was last week.
Okay, well, fair enough.
They don't win those 3 games, or they win 1 out of those 3 games. We may have a new coach here right now. I really believe that. I texted you guys, you and Nolan, last week.
No,
after
100%.
they laid a couple eggs over Christmas. I said, this is going to be it. I was convinced that there was a move going to be made, and he was probably talked to. I mean, their coaches know now. There's no more of this, I'm going to walk in and blindside you. The general manager, Shanny, whoever, is going to meet with the coach and say, listen, here's where we are, right? We're going on the road to California. If that doesn't go well, we're going to start looking at.
So now, and I understand what you're saying. I do. As a fan who's watching this game, every game should be important. And what you've just said to me is you were okay throwing the Nashville game away as a maybe because
you're never really throwing anything away, because you have to believe all these guys are NHLers. So whether you or I think that it was right to go to Sammy in that game or not, the coach did at that point, and he's the coach. He makes that call. Maybe the alternative in this particular one is, do I throw a potential next Vasilevsky, 6'7", athletic, could be an absolute stud for a long time, right? Do we put him in a position against a shitty team on Saturday night on Hockey Night in Canada when my job's on the line, right? That's a lot of pressure on a kid. I think you're going to see him get a goal. I really do. Who do they have this week?
I think he deserves a shot.
He deserves. You know what? He's traveling with the team. He's learning how to be in the NHL. Absolutely, I think he deserves a shot. So who do they have? So
we got San Jose tonight. We got the Islanders on Thursday, and Cale Makar and the boys roll in. Your buddy Cale.
I might look at the Islanders. I really may.
Against Ilya Shurskin. Who's the goalie? I can never remember his name. The other Russian.
Ilya Sorokin.
Yeah, Sorokin.
Or Varlamov's the other one.
I like him, man. I don't care. I know the Islanders are kind of up and down, but I really like that guy in net, man.
But I might give Hildeby a start at home against the Islanders, the team that Toronto's been pretty.
So here's my question then, because if we're going to give Hildeby a start and it's going to be at home, right? Do you not start him against San Jose? As opposed
maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just thinking if he's going to get the go on Thursday, I'm trying to understand.
He probably isn't going to get the go. I'm saying that's what I would do.
Yeah, John, I think you're right. I think we're going to ride Martin Jones till the wheels fall off. Is how I think this is going to go. And listen, Martin Jones has got a 935 or 941 save percentage.
Yeah,
I have no problem if we're going to ride him. I'm okay with it. I'm a big fan. Ride the hot hand, just like I was with Wall in that Nashville game.
I don't disagree. As long as he keeps winning,
ride the wave 100%. And
all right, that's a great way to end the show. Ride the wave. We'll be back. We got to have Nolan back to keep us in line next Tuesday, and enjoy the 3 games. So San Jose, Islanders.
How many points are we getting, Johnny? How many points are we getting?
5.
5? Okay, I'm going to take 4.
Yeah, I'm going 5. I think bank 2 tonight. I believe you'll beat the Islanders, and then if you can maybe get an overtime loss or something. Colorado's a good team.
Colorado's a great team.
Coming in hot. So cool. All right, man. Hey, have a good week, and thanks again to Bjorn Hockey and Don Cherry Sports Grill.
100%. Go Leafs, go.
Night, folks.